nightmare, dude.
It's like, dude, you're not a homeless guy. You're you're a person.
Fore Play, presented by Barstool Sports. We got myself, Frankie, Trent, and Dan. There's a lot going on right now. We got fucking aliens. We got the Aaron Rodgers situations. We got Tiger Woods hitting one-handed chips, walking around for the first time. We got Gil Hant, Spanish Bay. We got a lot going on right now. Everybody's kind of in a different place. Trent's in the office. Frankie's at home. Dan's at home. I'm at home. So a lot of moving parts, fellas. But Tiger Woods, I'll start with Tiger Woods. No footage of him until yesterday, I don't think, really doing anything. There were kind of whispers that he was walking around with Charlie Woods at tournaments, caddying for him. He had the surgery, around Masters time, maybe shortly after.
Yeah,
Masters,
it was 2 weeks after, I think.
Okay, and he had that surgery. We had the guy on from, I think, Alabama, who was an ankle surgeon, who told us, if everything goes well, then he should move a lot better after the surgery than he was before the surgery. That he's seen it before. First time moving, first time really doing anything. It was this Nexus Cup at Liberty National. Inspiring, I would say. The fact that it just came out of nowhere. That was very funny. There was just a random account that happened to be there. Eastside Golf, I think it was. That was at this little clinic thing that we've seen before. And they were just live streaming it. It went from 12 people watching. Rob, our social guy, sent it to us. And then all of a sudden, 600-700 people were watching it by the end, by the time he went gone. But anytime you get Tiger Woods out there moving, hitting golf shots, you could tell he's chomping at the bit. He had a wedge in his hand. He's hitting one-handed chips while people are asking him questions. We love that. We love that he's still clearly got that itch. He's still obsessed with golf, and he's able to literally move around. So I thought it was fucking fantastic.
It was lovely to see. The contact was crisp. That what he was doing, those one-hand, left-hand only chips, you try that at home. Not as easy as it looks. So the hands are still there.
It's impossible.
But it was actually in between the chips that was most encouraging to me. Is he was kind of moving in between them, and I don't want to say a pep in his step, but he was moving well. So my question is, why didn't they just do the surgery at the beginning? If this is going to make him able to walk without pain, why did they wait this long to have this surgery?
I mean, I saw a lot of the reports when he originally was going to get this, or not originally, but most recently, that they said he wanted to take the risk on not having to limit his mobility on his swing, because that is what this is going to do. It's going to limit he can't go like this anymore. So if you lean on the edges of your feet, he won't be able to do that. He can only rotate on the ball of his foot and his heel now. He can't do that. Scotty Scheffler will literally, his shoe will be like this sometimes, or like that. Tiger legitimately cannot do that anymore with this new fused together bone by his heel, because it's just the way that they've just corrected it. But if we've learned anything from Tiger Woods, after every procedure he's ever had, he just comes up with a new swing that will be able to get the most out of that. And whatever his ailment is, he'll now just figure out how to hit a ball 350 yards without bending his foot. It's just as simple as that. It's because he's the best of all time and he is a wizard. So seeing him walk around yesterday was incredibly inspiring for what we're about to see in the next coming years.
He looked nimble. I'm going to use the word nimble. I feel good about using that word. He was jumping back and forth between the bag, and then he was hitting the balls, and then he would jump back towards the bag. I thought yesterday the quick snippet that we got from Eastside Golf on Instagram Live was about as encouraging as you can get, genuinely. Obviously, he no full swing. Dan asked a question in the chat. What have the doctors cleared in terms of what he can and can't do? No full swing, but outside of that, he looked phenomenal, I thought.
And I would say, too, he looked like a fucking kid with a golf club. He looked excited. He looks jacked up. You could tell he loves being around the game. He's making little quips when people are asking him questions about golf. He loves answering those questions. He could not help himself while people were literally asking him questions. Somebody was asking, Will Zalatoris about Tiger's junior championships and winning 3 amateurs in a row. And as they're asking him that, there's a clip. You can hear them talking in the background, and Tiger's just chipping away on the side. He can't fucking handle it. He's like us at the Barstool Classic when we're watching people play, and we just have to grab a wedge and chip around and putt around. And that's what you want out of your fucking guy who's had a billion surgeries, who's lived, 80 lives in the span of fucking almost in less than 50 years, who's almost 50 years old. That's what you would like to see. Now, I will say, couple sources up at Liberty National, and they said he was walking around essentially using his wedge as a cane for a lot of the day. So I don't think that he's necessarily in a spot where he's 100% recovered. But if you look at 2 weeks after the Masters, the entire situation with the accident that he had, the fact that he was moving as well as he was when he was trying to hit those chips, and the fact that he's putting, that he loves having a golf club in his hand, it was just fucking optimistic as can be. I think that, again, we said it before, but if you get this fucking guy in a mindset where he still wants to play golf, that is all that matters. If he is going to have these surgeries, he'll get to a point where he can move. He can move as long as he can move. And he has this fucking desire. This heart is still there to play golf. He is the greatest player to ever pick up a golf club. He will figure out a way to be in tournaments, a handful of tournaments a year, and he'll be able to have a competitive game. This fucking year, we saw him play with 182, 183 mile an hour ball speed. I can go out right now and try for fucking 2 months straight. I couldn't come close to that. And this guy is almost 50 years old with all the things that we already mentioned, and he's still got that. So if he's got that fire burning, which it appears that he does, I'm 1,000,000% confident still, this only helped it, that motherfucker is going to come back and he's going to at least be competitive.
Yeah, it was the clearest sign yet that he wants to come back, which shouldn't be a surprise, because if there was a time for him to just walk away, it would have been after the car accident. I think there are a lot of people who are wondering, oh, is he going to want to climb the mountain? But if you look back at Tiger's life, when things don't go well, it's when he's not playing golf. This is what he has been doing since he was 2 years old. Like you said, he's a golf nut to the umpteenth degree. He doesn't know what to do, I think, without golf in his life. I don't think he's ready to be.
He can't even dress outside of the golf. He literally can't put clothes on.
I don't think that he has any desire or intention of golf not playing a huge role in his life. And I'm more confident than ever. Tiger turns 48 in December. I'm more confident than ever that this just ends with an absolute rampage of victories on the Champions Tour. Because I don't think he's going to be able, I've said this before, I don't think he's going to be able to win again on the PGA Tour. I just think the leg is too bad. You can write it down, all that stuff, save the tweet, bookmark it, do everything. I think he's going to get to the senior tour and ride on a cart and absolutely dom. I think he's going to win like 3 majors his first year on the senior tour. And I think he's going to get that taste of winning and become addicted to it. And I think that senior tour golf is going to do like better ratings than the PGA Tour for a little while.
That would be incredible. I mean, I want him to win on the PGA Tour. I think he will win again on the PGA Tour. But I mean, we saw what Phil did with his little stint on the Champions Tour. He was a menace, really. Genuinely unfair when he was on the Champions Tour, Phil. It's all very exciting. And I would say, use that club as a cane, babe. Use it. That's something you can use. Right. If that's going to help, like I know it's, the reports. I would love for him to run an 11-second 100-meter dash. I would love that. But we know where he is. We know what his surgeries have been. If he's got to use that club as a cane, use it. This is the cane era. It's the cane era of Tiger Woods. It's his Willy Wonka era, and he's just going to win. He's going to
imagine Nike comes out with like a pimped out TW cane that would be amazing. That would sell like crazy. I would use one.
We'd buy one. We'd all buy
Tiger
one.
On the top.
Yeah.
I mean, if this surgery has caused him to essentially live without pain, but it's greatly taken away his mobility, I think we're all just signing up for that. I don't care how he gets from the tee box to the fairway. It could take him 40 minutes to get from the tee box to the fairway. But if he feels fine once he gets to that ball, I'm okay with all of this. I don't care what he looks like. I don't care that he's cautiously walking around. The problem is that he legitimately couldn't finish rounds because of the pain. He was dripping sweat, agonizing
last year.
Pain. Yeah, and he was making cuts in majors, and he was like, and you're just like, this guy can't do it anymore, though. If we can get to that point where he can do it, it's still going to look like it's agonizing, but he's not. He's going to be like, yeah, I can do this for 4 days. That's fine. I'm signing up for that every single day of the week.
Yeah, and the pain from the walking, even if you can still make a 100% golf swing, it affects you. We've all been injured. We've all been injured before. Even if you have you jam your thumb and you're trying to play any sport, you're trying to play fucking cornhole. It's like every time you release the bag, you're like thinking about it. It's on your brain. It affects your touch. It affects your feel. It affects your confidence. It affects everything. And I think we saw that Tiger early on in weeks would look really fucking good. He would look really clean, and then his leg would get sore. It would get tired, exhausted, painful, whatever it was. And that's going to seep into your golf game no matter what. So it's true. It's if he could get to a point where that pain is gone, if he's way stiffer, he'll figure it the fuck out. He did it before with the fuse back. I think he'll do it again with the ankle. The key is like not having that pain, not having that soreness set in and take over the entire day. And, if people want to highlight or focus on like, oh, he's limping around. Well, Yeah, you're supposed to fucking limp. He's trying to protect the thing from getting injured so that when he does hit golf shots or when he does get to a point where he wants to be standing and walking around, that it hasn't been laboring on that leg the entire day. So limping doesn't really cause me much of an issue. It's like that pain you could start to see set in tournaments where it was excruciating for him to move around, and you just can't fucking play golf. Golf's already hard enough when you've got that going on.
He's still got the hands. I remember when right after the accident, he did an interview and he said that when he was on his hospital bed, he had Rob McNamara toss him things just to see if he still had the feeling in his hands, because obviously the accident really messed up his legs. He still has the hands. And so as long as he has those, he's going to believe, whether it's rational or not, that he can compete with these guys. And it's actually amazing. I was looking back on some of the things I wrote after Riviera. He looked good at Riviera. Remember, he shot like 5 under, I think, on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, is this guy going to fucking win again?
Mhm.
So it's in there. It's definitely in there.
I mean, this is an obvious thing because this isn't the way the game of golf is. But I think if you drop Tiger Woods and every other golfer 50 yards from every hole, I think he like wins those tournaments. You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
I think 50 yards in, this guy's still one of the best golfers in the world, regardless of how many guys have come up and all the best players that are still there. I just think we need to get from the tee box to there in a healthy manner, and that swing speed needs to be up. That's obviously a huge hurdle. I'm acting like that's not anything. That's probably the biggest task he'll ever be tasked with in his life, playing golf. But to your point about the hands, he's clearly still got it. He's got the scoring capabilities. It's in there. He can drain putts. He can chip the best of them. He's a wedge wizard. That stuff is still there. It has not gone away. If anything, it's gotten better because that's the only thing he's been able to kind of practice.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look, the PGA Tour average for ball speed is 173.01. Tiger was over 180. With that bum leg pre-surgery at Riviera, where it's you're basically on the coastline. You're at zero elevation. It's not like you're getting any help out there. It's a little bit brisk. It's in February, and he was roasting the ball out there. So if he's healthier, feeling better, the swing speed I don't think will be an issue. And he's been a handsy player. Yeah, he's going to be stiffer. That's limiting for sure. He plays with his hands. He talks about it all the time in all the Golf Digest videos. Shout out to your people, Dan, where they have these paid content deals where they go out and they do all these videos about Tiger. Talk us through how you're going to hit a high draw. He says basically, I get to this point. Yeah, you try to work on things in setup, but at the end of the day, I just rely on my hands. I just release it and hit a fucking draw, or I hold it and hit a fucking cut. That's what he does. He talks about leading up to the Masters, how he like practices drawing his chips and like cutting his chips and all this stuff. He is a handsy player by nature. He talks about it all the time. So you're right. As long as those hands are there, as long as that fire's there, and as long as this ankle can just heal up to a point where he's not feeling excruciating pain, obviously he's going to win again. That's my take on it. I love that he still has the fucking juice. I looked today, over 60,000 tweets about Tiger Woods because he was on some random account's fucking Instagram live at Liberty National. He's trending in the United States of America. He's going viral yet again for literally doing nothing except basically showing up and hitting a couple one-handed chips. I saw every account. You could tell when they start to have to aggregate the content. All the main accounts, even like CBS, were all like, again, this morning, like putting out the one-handed chips, being like, Jesus, we're starting to see the numbers. So he's still got the juice. He's still got the fire. He's still got the hands. He's Tiger fucking Woods. I cannot wait to be right about him winning again.
Yeah, one of the hands, one more point. I think I've probably brought this up on the show before, but one of my all-time favorite videos, it's like 4 or 5 years ago, and they're doing wedges, and he's talking to Jason Day. And Jason Day is like, hey, how do you control distance with your wedges? You know, do you use like a clock system? And he goes, oh, I just feel it in my hands. And Jason Day goes, can you say that like a normal person? Like, what does that mean? So that, he does things that other professionals don't understand.
It's going to be wild if he wins again. Just thinking about the other tour players, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but I do think he's going to win again. Like, what's this guy got to go through to stop winning? Like, his entire history, all these other guys, I mean, they're finely tuned athletes. Their entire lives, especially in this modern age, it's like, here's how much sleep you should get. Here's how much you got to eat. Here's how much you got to do this and that to be perfectly primed and ready to play 4 rounds of golf and win a golf tournament. This guy is out there. He's a wild man. I mean, the last 25 years, he's been a fucking wild man and has been through more than most people will go, like Rick said, in 80 lifetimes. And if he can win again, they just got to think like, this guy is he's literally Terminator.
I think he could put his right hand in a blender the night before the Masters and still shoot 71 at Augusta.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, yeah, like what could he go through? I mean, he basically lost a leg, almost lost a leg, and he still wants to do it and is probably still capable of doing it. That's insane.
I mean, he had a fucking broken leg and basically no knee and won the U.S. Open, which is
No
the hardest
back?
golf tournament.
Oh, back
on
was
the
later,
planet.
but yeah.
He had no back for like a decade, and he still came back. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at any of the interviews, too, with the other guys, the guys that are around him, Rory was the most recent one last week, where he was talking with Tiger. And he said, Tiger Woods is the biggest golf nerd I've ever met, and it's not even close. When you talk to Ricky Fowler, was talking about it a couple years ago or after the accident, he's like, Tiger Woods just keeps his golf clubs next to him in his living room when he's playing Call of Duty, when he's watching TV. He just is obsessed with fucking golf. You talk to Kevin Kisner, who's like, yeah, I talk to Tiger.
It's
like,
just my club's over there. Yeah.
There were no divots on those chips. Clean contact.
No.
He's fletching it.
But yeah, even Kiz says, like, yeah, talking to Tiger is a little bit like, unless you're just an absolute golf nerd, like, you'll get over it pretty quickly because that's all he wants to do is nerd out about fucking golf. So that's the guy, dude.
You gotta appreciate that. Like,
Tiger asking Scotty Scheffler, "Why do you have to take divots?" is still the funniest thing that's ever happened.
it's the video of the year for sure. Might be the video of the decade.
Why do you have to take divots? And Scotty's like, I don't know why he's asking me that, because we have to take divots.
We all do. You do. You watch videos of Tiger. He takes divots.
Scotty Scheffler crossed a road in his brain where he's like, I'm gonna have to either agree with Tiger Woods and go against everything we both know about golf, or I stand my ground here and like fight him. And he opted for option C, which was to just be like, what? Like, I don't understand why you're asking me. Why do you have to take divots? When I'm flushing it, I don't take divots. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I fought that video. I've watched that so many times. And I will continue.
There was just
to
a
do so.
video like Scratch or somebody posted yesterday of Tiger taking the biggest
saw
pellet
that. The
divot
chunk.
I've ever seen in my
Riggs,
fucking life. It was
Riggs,
bigger
he
than a
wasn't flushing
squirrel.
it. He wasn't flushing it that
Wasn't
day. I'm sorry
flushing
to tell you.
Wasn't flushing
He wasn't
it.
flushing.
Yeah, when he's flushing,
That
I don't
ball,
think
by the way, that ball
that's
probably
it.
landed 8 inches from the hole, but he wasn't flushing it that
That's
day.
a bad one. He unfortunately had to
I
take a
do.
divot there. He doesn't like to
Before
take
we
divots.
move on from Tiger, and we can talk about Tiger all day, but going back to you talking about him being a golf nerd, it is, you got to appreciate a guy who's got that much skill, that much talent, all the things. He's an 8-tool player, and there's only 5 tools. But the fact that he still loves it and is still a golf nerd, like we've seen. There's a countless list of athletes who all have the talent. I'm not even just talking about golf. I'm talking all sports where they've got everything. They've got the talent. They've got this. They've got that. But they don't totally care. But for him to still care and have cared his entire career, you got to respect the fuck out of that. That's just like it's a perfect storm that you don't get all the time. A guy who's got it all and he still is super into it.
And so into it that he clearly, if you just think about the process for him to get to taking this next surgery, this most recent surgery that he had, he walked across the bridge at St. Andrews last year, not playing well, not moving particularly well. And from that moment until this surgery after the Masters, he clearly in his brain, talking to his team, talking to Steinberg, his doctors, Robbie Mack, was like, what are my options to get better? Like, what can I do to get better? His brain was not like, that was my swan song. I walked across the Swilken Bridge that didn't have the fucking stone slabs all over the place that they got rid of. And I just kind of have to mail it in. It's a bummer. His response to that was like, what are my fucking options? And their, answer clearly over all their research was like, well, you can do this next ankle surgery and potentially move better and then play it. He's like, let's fucking do it. So all of that adds up again to me believing this motherfucker will be back. I also thinking about all the things and all the conversations and moments with Charlie and searching the internet and YouTube got him to the point where someone asked yesterday during the thing about getting better at golf, what can you do? And he said, don't watch fucking YouTube. So clearly that man has been scrolling through or come across videos of instruction or stuff on YouTube that has led him to in his brain. And it made me laugh out loud thinking about Tiger watching some fucking idiot on YouTube explain how to do stuff and him being like, what is this guy talking about? I love that. I love just his immediate hatred for YouTube. And I'm sure it's related to Charlie and Charlie being obsessed with YouTube. But he clearly is telling people not to go on YouTube, and he's telling people to just go hit golf balls and figure it out. Basically,
I gotta disagree with Tiger on that one. We need people to watch YouTube. That's the one thing I'll probably ever disagree with Tiger Woods on. Everybody should be watching YouTube. Everybody.
But our content's not instructional, so you can watch our content because we're not trying to teach you how to play.
I think his was related to just like people trying to learn how to get better on YouTube, not just be entertained by horrific golf on YouTube.
Imagine he was watching like a me and Tillery or Frankie and Dr. Brett McCabe, and he's like, these guys don't know what they're doing.
We have quite the bit of instructional content on YouTube for anyone that hasn't been paying attention, but we definitely we definitely want you to watch it. Imagine I just picture Tiger just sitting back and watching like a break in 90 and just getting like fuming mad, being like, how has my absence from golf made this entertaining? You know what I mean? He's sitting back on his couch saying, is this now what golf has become because I can't go out there and just dominate the sport?
This piece of garbage just shot a 106 and it's going to get 300,000 views on YouTube. Why is that happening? He might be coming for all of us. He's like, no. You guys got to be watching real golf. He's that much of a golf nerd where even people watching golf, he wants it to be the right kind. So
you should watch Fixing Frankie. It's amazing content. It's amazing content. You should definitely watch it.
I agree.
Yeah, we have another episode coming. Actually, that guy, Dr. Brett McCabe, that guy's a grinder, man. He's all over the place.
He's all over. Mental Game Live is like every night. It feels like
it's not easy to. And I actually talked to him about that. It's not easy to break through as like a golf or sports psychiatrist or is he a psychiatrist?
Psychologist?
He's a doctor.
Psychologist.
Okay.
I get those mixed up.
I guess I don't even know if I'm right.
I think it's sports psychology. Yeah. So I mean, it is hard to make that. I even talked to him like it's hard to make that entertaining. If you really think about like you're going to give like a keynote speech about like where your mental game should be, that's going to be a very niche amount of people that like really want to consume that content, but he's been crushing it. He just doesn't stop. And I think that's what the success comes from, is just not stopping. It's kind of like the Barstool formula. They just keep throwing it at it and wait for it to stick.
Yep.
But yeah, we want you to watch YouTube. We want you to watch our YouTube.
Yeah, we need
it. Very much so. Willy Z was out there. I saw, he's been, what has it been, a year? How long's he been out, Dan?
Yeah, I remember I remember his first thing. He said he was out for the fall, so that was last fall.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a while because I remember he was gonna play in the President's Cup. Remember, that's why Kiz made it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just kind of forget about people, but it's like that's another one of our kind of American studs. We've lost people, air quotes, lost people to live, lost people to like poor form, not playing as well. Tiger obviously injured. And I just completely forgot we have fucking Will Zalatoris, ball striking machine, who's just been out for a year. I think I heard from a source that he was allowed to hit up to like 140 or 50 yards full swing. So he's getting kind of close, which is nice to see. Willy Z, Rickie was out there, JT was out there, Kiz was there for a little bit, and then headed off to the Fortinet, where he'll be playing this week for the first time since the Travelers. So we're rooting for Kiz, obviously, this week. But yeah, looked like a hell of an event at Liberty National. Chevrolet, baby, the bow tie, the whole deal. The future, we're talking on this show, man. We got aliens. We have a story from being in a car, a credible story about being in a car. You're in a car all the time. You need a car to get from A to B. We're in the future now. Gas, all that. Gas prices. You don't want to be, you basically don't want to be owned. You don't want to be held hostage by gas prices. Chevrolet, EVs. They've been doing EVs, electric vehicles, for over a decade now. They've been making cars for over a century, 100 years. Now they've got, I believe, 1,900 EV certified dealerships. They got all of it at Chevrolet, and they're huge supporters of the show. So if you're not in the Chevy business, if you're not getting a Chevy, looking at Chevys, if you have a lease ending soon, you should be exploring Chevys. You should go to Chevy.com/electric to do it, because we love Chevrolet, boys.
Charging stations. These things are going to be just become the norm. We were at Sand Valley. There were charging stations. Like, yep. It's just in however many years. And then the next generation, like our kids, they're going to be like, yeah, charging stations are just everywhere. That's like what
it's part of new construction. You build a restaurant, you build a mall. It's just something that you include.
You have to, because that's the future, and Chevy knows it.
They've got, like I mentioned, this is a different number. This is an amazing number. They got over 110,000 charging stations across the United States and Canada, and growing. Your smartphone can become your co-pilot when using the My Chevrolet mobile app with the Energy Assist. The app allows you to access vehicle information like your battery status, charging status, and settings from anywhere. So learn more at chevy.com/electric. That is chevy.com/electric. Not far from Liberty National, hell of an event Monday Night Football. Obviously, the Rodgers thing. This show is going to come out Thursday. Everybody's been
turn that
talking
mic
about
on,
it
Alex Busch. Turn that fucking mic on
for days and days and days.
I mean, it sucks because I want Alex Busch to like drain my dick essentially of just all of it. I don't even know where I was going to go with that.
What is that? Is that a
Excuse
metaphor?
Suck my dick, but essentially, I can't even take a victory lap on this piece of shit because the craziest scenario of all time happened to the New York Jets.
Yeah.
You couldn't write that pregame and have anyone believe that would have happened.
True.
All of the hype, all of the excitement, Hard Knocks, just everything coming together. The New York Jets finally have this defense that's like, all right, if we can just get a capable quarterback at center, you're going to tell me, we all know that playoffs are almost automatic, and then maybe a Super Bowl run is in our eyes. It's right there. That's what we're thinking as Jets fans. You're like, This defense is right there. Last year they went 7-4. All their guys got hurt. You're running through this schedule. That's in the middle of the schedule. Obviously, the first 5 games were really tough because I don't know why that happened to the Jets, but we have all the hopes and dreams, all of them. 75 seconds into the game, he's out for the season. 75 seconds.
4 plays.
75 seconds.
The replay was insane. You could see the calf pop.
If you told me that pregame, I would have been like, it's the dumbest scenario ever. Obviously, he's going to play the rest of the season. The guy comes running out with the fucking American flag.
Incredible.
Everyone's like, it's one of the greatest sports moments in New York history. September 11th, people are going crazy. I had a buddy there saying people in the stands were weeping. People were weeping.
I believe that.
Legitimately weeping. Your guy, like top 3 quarterback of all time, is running out of the tunnel with an American flag. He looked like he was in fucking old time, like running into battle. Yeah. Legitimately running into battle. I mean, Salah's brother escaped one of the towers of 9/11. I saw that like pregame, and he's sitting there crying. Everybody's just fucking gassed up for this game against the Bills, and then he gets hurt in 75 seconds.
You guys won the game. You guys won the game.
And then we win the game. Well, that's why it's like I want to shit on fucking Alex Busch a little bit because he's a cocky fucking Bills fan. They were horrible.
We won the battle.
You
can shit on him more now because you beat them without Aaron Rodgers.
But like Alex gets to say congratulations on the game, but your season's over. It's like all he keeps saying to me every single time I say something.
That's fuck. Are you
congratulations on the game, but your season's over.
Injury, Busch? You celebrating an injury?
No. I'm just saying the season's over now for you guys.
Zach Wilson.
That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen all year.
The
Bills played.
It was
the
a
worst
weird
game possible.
thing where it was like Jets were pumped. The Jets fans were pumped, but also just devastated. I mean, demoralized. I got the fucking chills with that Gibson return. I mean, we did a whole fucking show about how me and Trent don't have teams and it's hard to get into it. And here you are, like I pretty much checked out of the game at halftime. At halftime, every analyst was like almost telling people to turn their TVs off because the
season
Jets
was
had
over.
such a little bit of a chance. The season's over. And then that fucking return and the fact that it was like looked like he wasn't quite going to get in, and then the little sidestep and one of the worst tackling attempts in history, and then he gets in and the way he put his arms out, how loud it was 9/11. I got the fucking chills when they won that game. So what a wild night. But in terms of sports injuries, that might be one of the most heartbreaking sports injuries that I can remember like ever witnessing.
I was not invested, and we talked about it, like Rick said, like I don't have an NFL team really. So this Jets team, I was pretty invested just because it's the most hype a player and a team have gotten before a snap has even happened. So it was like, all right, they're on Hard Knocks. I watched a little bit of that. Aaron Rodgers is at the very least a great quarterback, and at the most he's like a super interesting guy. Like I was looking forward to the post-game press conferences with Aaron Rodgers because he's kind of out there, but he's super interesting. He's got the New York media talking to him. Like everything was interesting about it. So I was watching that game like, oh, I'm going to follow this Jets season more closely than I am like the Bills season. And then just 4 plays in, I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
And it's the quarterback. You can't even compare it to another sport. Like even hockey, if you went and got Connor McDavid and he blew his knee out game 1, you're like, all right, there's still 4 lines worth of offensive players. There's defense. There's a goalie. We can get through this year. It's obviously a big blow, but this is the quarterback, the most stressful, important position in all of sports, bar none. It's impossible to even compare. He has to run the entire offense in his brain while you have 6'7" absolute lunatics running to try and rip your head off. And he has to do it within a fucking blink of an eye. And he's one of the best to ever do it. And he was in a Jet uniform for fucking 4 plays.
I will say, since I'm not a Jet fan and I don't care, it was very funny watching Zach Wilson trot out onto that field. Just knowing that,
dude,
like,
Salah's face.
All of Salah's face that's one of the best sports photos of the year. And just knowing you guys were putting all your eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket, how much shit the whole world has talked about Zach Wilson, and in the blink of an eye, it's Zach Wilson's team again. And
did you see Peyton Manning had no idea that he was still the QB?
I did not.
He goes, "Who's the backup? Who's Wilson still on that team?"
Crazy.
Dude, Peyton and Eli couldn't believe what they were seeing, and those are 2 obviously quarterback greats. Super Bowls, the whole deal. They're watching Aaron Rodgers when they were like, all right, it might be a high ankle sprain, and then they see that clip of Peyton Manning watching Aaron Rodgers get put onto the cart, and he goes, "You gotta be kidding me." He couldn't believe it. He sat back in his chair and he goes, "There's no way." Dude, we were at an event. I was at a poker event, the Matt Martin Foundation poker event. There's like 500 people there. I got fucking wrecked. I mean, this old lady knocked me out and just said, "See you later," and like a whole table laughed. Also, Matt Barzell absolutely destroyed me at this thing. Essentially, all these people were playing in this fucking poker event, and if you knocked out one of the Islanders, you got like signed jersey, a photo, maybe a stick. So Matt Barzell walks over to my table and he goes, "Frankie, what do these people get if they knock you out? A signed spatula?" And the whole place fucking erupted, and I fucking was like, "Nah, I don't even know what they get. I don't know. Maybe I'll send them like a 4-play thing." So I was beat red. I was freaking out. I'm apologizing to all the people at my table. It was insane. He dominated me. But for that first play, and obviously the run out, everyone got silent and was watching the screens. Like, it was almost like this huge event kind of just really, really focused on these TVs. And when that injury happened, there was shrieks. I mean, this is a New York sports event, and it's like a gym, Jet, Islander, Mets. That whole place is filled with Jets fans. And it happened to be on the same night as this game. I'm talking funeral status, like dead silent after a couple of absolute like murder cries, like you heard just like babies crying in the background. It was nuts. So that was a weird spot to be in, to be like, wow, the season's over just a week. Like, I almost felt just a 1 play in. It almost felt like I was in a simulation, like legitimately, like I was dreaming. That's how it's not to be believed how you can't make that up.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see if they get somebody. I don't know. I don't know if they will. I think they'll go with Zach Wilson. But
Alex Busch, how do you feel about the Bills overall? I want to say this before you get into it. Just my analysis of the game was that Josh Allen he's careless with the ball.
Yeah, he's been careless for a while. Last year he started to get a little better, and then at the end of the season it started coming back, and that was the worst I've seen him play. He was rattled and just making bad decisions. The issue with him is he doesn't like take the first interception. He's just hucking it down to the end zone in double coverage, and there's 25 yards to the left that he can run for a first down. And it's like taking the easy yards and plays was like an issue when he was younger, and we saw it on Monday.
He's just an all-world quarterback,
and
he's got these little mental lapses that just
how about that jump, that hurdle he attempted?
That was crazy.
Right after Aaron Rodgers got hurt.
He hurdles a bunch, and it's great when he's like trying to get a first down, but it's like it's third down. He's not going to get the first.
Nope.
The clock's not going to stop, and he's just
that was
trying
the
to get 1
craziest
yard.
part of that, Alex. Is even if he successfully hurdles that
he's
guy,
still
the
short.
way that he jumped, he would have fell on his shoulder, and you're not even getting the first down.
Yeah,
it's like his brain's not like.
Yeah, is he like an idiot or something?
It's like he's not conceptualizing where the first down line is. He's like, he jumped up in the air and almost like wanted to go shoulder first into the ground. He would have been 5 yards short, even if he successfully did it.
I feel like I've seen enough interviews, and he's very much in the Barstool world for sure, and he seems like a very bright individual. But he'll just make these lapses in judgment that I don't fully understand.
I liked his interview after the game. Did you guys see it? He was like, I let us down. Like you want to see
same
that.
Shit.
He clearly knows it's an
same
issue.
Shit.
Same shit, different day.
Yeah, but he's been doing that. Like, he did that all last year. Like, when there would be a bad game, he'd throw 2 picks and they'd lose. You'd be like, it's on me. But at this point, it's like, it's great that he's being a leader. But when does that kind of stop?
there's obviously an element of like, if you're going to be a gunslinger and you're going to be a go guy, you're going to have some picks, fine. But the ratio and some of the idiotic ones were like, you can't have the whatever when he threw the one that was basically in the end zone that gets picked into like double cover. It's like there's just fucking absolutely no reason for that. Whereas the early one where it was basically the same as a punt, it was like 3rd and long or whatever.
Yeah.
Like again, those you're a gunslinger. I think you can live with some of those. That was Brett Favre, fine. But he's just got too much. And to be, what is he, 6 or 7 years in now, Busch, man?
Yeah, I think he's in his 7th year, 6 or
That's
7, six year maybe.
It's nuts.
Doesn't feel like it's been that long.
I remember doing a pizza review with him. Him and Sam Darnold like came and did a pizza review with Dave, and I remember being like, this guy. He came with his whole family. I'm like, how's this guy going to be an NFL franchise changing quarterback? And then that 1st and 2nd year, you're like, holy shit, this guy's legit.
That's the thing. He's a fucking stud. He's
he's amazing. I'd take him on my team any day.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you just got to figure out like these little parts of it. And gunslinger is a great way to describe him because that's what he is. But he's getting outside of that, that's way too much.
And lastly, I don't know how much more we want to talk about, but that Garrett Wilson catch was fucking something else. One of the best catches you'll ever see, and that really made me upset about the Aaron Rodgers injury. Just knowing what the potential was with those two.
The slow-mo of that, because in real time it looked a little bit almost awesome, but a little lucky at the same time.
Yeah.
There was like no luck. The fact that he put his hand across, tipped it up, tipped it the other way, and caught it. That was one of the coolest
It's like what you do against like a little brother or like cousin where you're like trying
like in
to
a pool.
You're in a pool and like someone throws you the ball and you're just like bullying them. You're just like knocking like a little airy ball around that can kind of have some hang time. And he's doing it with a football with one of the better defensive players in the league.
That was against an all-pro cornerback.
Right.
Too.
What was the game called? What was the game called that you played in kid where someone threw it and you had to try to catch
500?
it? A bunch of people.
Yeah,
right?
500.
500?
Yeah.
It would be like one of those end zone throws. I don't think I've ever played that.
Yeah, you get like a group of 5
4
people.
of you would be lying around. Yeah, and they would just throw it out.
And the person says a number when it's in the
I
air.
guess we just never called it a number. I didn't know a game name.
I have that right, Alex?
Yeah, it was 500.
I think at least that's what we called it. But yeah, no, it's.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson said that Aaron Rodgers like walked up to, or just the only thing he said to him was "Sorry, kid."
That made me tear up a little bit. That was a movie. I mean, you could make a movie off the first game of the season for the Jets. You have this old school. It would be like a A-list celebrity that's like all the hype of him walking in, and
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, like a Bradley Cooper. And at the end, he's just like, "Sorry, kid." Puts his hands on fucking Garrett Wilson's shoulder and just walks into the light, and he's never to be seen again. And that was it. That was the Aaron Rodgers.
So does he play again? You think?
Yeah.
Does he play next year?
I mean, I was listening to Pat McAfee, who knows him pretty damn well. He was going to be on the Pat McAfee show almost every single Tuesday. I think he agreed to go on that show pre-injury. I don't think that's happening anymore.
Devastating for Pat McAfee.
Right.
Devastating.
I think who knows? He might still go on.
He might still go on like during recovery, which would be pretty cool to watch that process.
Yeah. He's had that. I feel like they've had that agreement for a while now where Aaron Rodgers goes on the McAfee show weekly.
But now it's got to be different. I mean, he's got surgery coming up. He's got all these things coming up.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going through some pretty crazy shit.
I know.
While still going on the McAfee show.
I hope he does for Pat's sake. That would be incredible. I want to watch that. I don't even remember what I was going to say. Oh, well, Pat was basically saying that from what he knows, he'd be stunned if that's the way Aaron Rodgers goes out. And I think we could all kind of take a little bit from that because you just see the passion in Aaron Rodgers. But the fact that he's even still doing this, the guy went into like the darkness last year just to see if he still had the fire. And he came out, he's like, I've never felt better about my game. I have that fire. There's no way that's how my career ends with the Packers. Just like bad blood and all of that shit. He wanted one last chapter. You can't end that chapter 75 seconds in to a season. But, I mean, he's going to be – how old is he going to be? 39,
almost 40
when he comes back. I think he's 39. Coming back at 40 off an Achilles injury. Fuck, man. I don't know. And there's all this talk about this turf. Like, all the players are complaining about the turf.
A lot of turf talk.
If it was real grass, he probably wouldn't have exploded it because it would have just, like, kind of – moved out.
The craziest part about the turf thing is that they're probably going to have the World Cup final at MetLife, and they're just gonna make it grass.
Yeah.
So it's obviously like super possible and feasible to do, and all the players have been asking for it for a long time.
Just save them money or something. Yeah. Why do they all?
It's low cost, low maintenance. And in that tweet that I saw on Twitter, they're like, you're basically saying that FIFA and like the World Cup cares more about the field and the players than the NFL does. If you're quite literally ripping up the surface that the NFL plays on and you're changing it to something else, they're saying we assessed this ground and we have to change it for these world-class footballers to come in here and play. and you're sending guys that you're paying hundreds of millions of dollars at, where you know these things are just going to pop.
We're also talking about one of the richest leagues in the world.
I know.
Why is the NFL trying to save a few pennies on the turf so that Aaron Rodgers?
Why would the owners want that?
It's
already,
insane.
You ask Woody
already
Johnson
cost
today,
ineffective.
do you wish that was real grass? I bet you he's saying yes, because he's like, my ridiculous investment in this 40-year-old player that I traded a
Everyone in
first-round
the
pick
league.
for that no one – right.
Every owner in the league would agree with that right now, being like, we're all better off if Aaron Rodgers is playing. Like, even if he defeats us, it's better for the league. It's more eyeballs. It's everything. Like, you can't – that one injury alone, I think, negates any cost savings that you were doing. The fact that Aaron Rodgers is fucking out. So
I do wish there was one golf course in the world where the whole thing was turf. I'd like to see how that would go.
I think there will be soon.
Full golf course. It'd be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Full golf course,
I think
turf.
so.
All turf.
You could play it year round. Put it in
Right.
a cold weather spot and have people play out there.
Well,
all
that's
the
what they
time.
do in Asia. Is like you carry around a mat in a lot of places in like Korea and Japan. You don't actually hit off the ground because they don't want to take care of the golf course. So you walk around with like a mat and then you just put your ball on top of it.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
even
that's a
when
thing.
the course is, I'm talking about like wintertime, but even when the course there is in immaculate shape, they just throw mats down?
Yeah, well, I don't think the courses that you have to do that are ever in like immaculate shape.
I
I
see
think
what
it's
you're
like so they can play like shitty courses and not worry about like keeping the grass. I think they probably just mow the greens and keep the greens in shape, and then everything else they just let go. To
I know
shit.
they do that at some major championship courses for like a month or two leading up to the major. They send you out with a little
We did it
personal
once.
mat.
I forget.
Where was that,
it
at
Pebble?
Might
Or
have been
It was
Wingfoot.
Wingfoot. There was like in the chipping area, like wherever like the landing area was on a long par 5, they had all these mats in the rough, and if your ball landed in there, you had to go bring a mat there and hit off of it. Essentially, you didn't have to carry it around with you, but they had them in spots that they didn't want you. All these collection areas that they knew were going to be divot central for the players.
Interesting.
The thing about the turf for the golf courses is I know that they're not zero maintenance, but I don't know if I imagine the maintenance is still way, way, way less cumbersome than the maintenance for a real golf course.
What do you got to do? You just got to hose them down?
Well, a lot of them they actually put sand in there because the sand, like in the fake turf, because that still allows them to play like a real golf course. So like the way the ball lands and comes off and all that. So the sand, I think, comes out a lot. You got to replace it. But again, there's no way that's anywhere fucking close to growing grass and the whole deal.
And the maintenance, yeah,
there's no way. All right, moving on. Fore Play Tracker. A couple updates from the Fore Play Tracker. Last week, I believe Fore Play Tracker announced a leave of absence due to the difficulties of law school. He wrote, I could tell, and you guys met and I believe did like a shot with Fore Play Tracker at the meet and greet in Chicago, I think.
No, we
So
didn't
did
do a
meet
shot with
Foreplay
him.
Tracker.
We met him. He brought us candy, right? Or was
No, he did.
I met him at he came to the Glen Club also.
We did meet him. He's a nice kid. He's way more normal than you would think a person that tracks our every movement on Twitter is. And honestly, I think that he's pretty good for the brand. He like just gets out all of our promos. He hypes up our
Incredible.
shit. I saw him at Bojangles in South Carolina. It was right next to where he's going to law school. He's going to law school in South Carolina. He's like, dude, my place is right here. He like pointed to where his place was. And
that's so
he
good.
was there, and he fucking he was first row, he was front row, and we were just head bobbing, just playing like Nirvana and shit. And he was living life.
incredible.
Maybe the number one Fore Play fan. Maybe the
Has
number
to
one
be,
play
dude.
is Fore
Has
Play
to
Tracker.
be.
This
There was a
guy.
time I was singing Wagon Wheel, which is obviously like it's just an overplayed song, but everyone kind of gets into it. And we were in South Carolina, and I locked eyes with him, and I saw him recording me, and it kind of threw me off my game. I was like, Fore Play Tracker's enjoying this a little too much, and I thought about that mid song.
People are way too down on Wagon Wheel. Every time people bring up Wagon
know.
Wheel, they're like, "Oh, that song's overplayed." But aren't all great songs overplayed? Like, isn't that how you become a great
Yeah.
song? And I know it's not the original version, and people are blah
I
blah
like
blah.
the new version.
Every time I hear Wagon Wheel, I'm like, "This is amazing."
Dude,
Well,
and
yeah, I was
also
gonna
it's
say,
like, it's a
it's easy to
Nickelback argument. It's like if it just
Yeah.
sounds good, it sounds good. Why does it have to be? Who cares if it's like simple or it's
also-
like
I don't think anybody shits on Wagon Wheel in the moment of Wagon Wheel. They shit
No
on Wagon
way.
Wheel like during the podcast like this when you're talking about Wagon Wheel. But man, when you're in that moment in the
If you're
environment,
not
in the
singing along
arena,
to
come
Johnson
on.
City, Tennessee,
Tennessee.
everyone does. I mean, come on.
You have to. You have to.
I love that song. I just don't. I feel like that's one of those things that the internet has grabbed onto where they just hate it. But you're right. If we played it right now, which we can't for copyright reasons. But if you were listening to Wagon Wheel right now, you'd be like, I'm having a great time.
So
you're
PFT was telling me that if you map out geographically Wagon Wheel, all of the things that he says, it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't matter to me.
Like heading down south to the land of the pines, and then it's like walking to the south out of Roanoke. I caught a trucker out of Philly, had a nice long toke, but he's heading west to the Cumberland Gap. If you like really pay attention to what he's saying, it all doesn't make sense.
maybe
That
even
actually-
better.
Yeah, further goes to my point where no song has to make sense
Right.
or have anything. As long as it sounds good, I'm in. Wasn't there a guy, and I'm going to get the details wrong, some guy like tried to make a fake pop song and it ended up being, because he wanted to like parody and how easy it is to make a pop song, and it ended up being like top of the charts. He like fucked
Phoenix,
himself.
the pop like rock French band Phoenix, who I really like and had a big Phoenix face. Their lyrics are basically nonsensical. They don't make any sense. They're like a bunch of French guys who barely speak English, and they say a lot of things that like phrases that sound cool but don't make any sense together.
Bro, think about Sean Paul. I was ripping Sean Paul in like 2006.
Yeah.
No clue what was going on in those songs, but I was just the sound. He could be making fun of
Sean
me, and I'd be
Paul,
like, "This shit's
someone
fire."
give it to
Sean Paul could be making fun of my mom and dad, and I'd be like, "This is fire."
We're gonna break 90. It's just fucking
Right.
ripping you.
Rip me to shreds, Sean Paul, and I'm still dancing.
I mean, Paris Hilton put out a banger. Come on, if it sounds good, you can get it going.
At the end of the day, what is music outside of that? And listen, I'm a guy who likes artists who have backstories and that it's real and blah, blah, blah. But also, if you just play something good, I'm going to tap my toes and move my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Fred again, who's huge right now, takes samples from like people in the subway and just plays like a little sample over and over, and then it goes crazy.
All right, so I was in the car on my way back from the Philly Classic with two younger guys. One of Kyle, who was born in 2000, which is stunning, and they were playing Fred.
Kyle Enright.
Yeah, great guy, awesome guy. But they were playing Fred in the car, and they were raving about it. They're like, "We're going to his concert in a couple weeks. It's going to be awesome." I don't know who the fuck they were talking about.
He's so good.
Fred again. It's called Fred again.
Fred
not just
again.
Fred. Yeah.
Holy
yeah.
shit, man! I'm gonna have to check it out.
Busch, chime in here. Help me, Busch.
What do you
Yeah,
got?
I mean, my buddy from college got me onto him, and he's so good. I think Danny and I were listening to him one trip. We just listened to him nonstop, but he's really good and he's
kind of
really
music
popular.
is it?
He's it's like EDM,
It's like electronic.
but he has like
Yeah, but
albums
it's
where
like deep housey.
where like all the names are like every song is like a person's name, and it's like his friends and stuff, and he puts in like samples of random shit all the time. It's
Yeah,
it's
they
good.
were talking about like
Listen to the song Delilah.
Yeah,
It's
that's the best
so
song.
good.
That's what
Yeah.
they were talking about. They're like, I can't wait till he
Pull me
plays
out of
Delilah at the
this.
concert. And I was like, what are these guys talking about?
Da-na-na-na-na-na. Yeah, it's great.
All right, I'll listen to it. I'm not against it. Is it a guy? Is it like a DJ?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Fore Play Tracker's full statement. He wrote, "I could tell by the difficulty in my first few weeks of law school that I would need to take a break from being FPT. I'm super bummed out. I thought I put together a really good year on Twitter tracking foreplay, which is true. I'm proud of what I've done, as he should have been. The purpose of Fore Play Tracker has been to provide the fans of foreplay with news and updates on their favorite Barstool Sports personalities. I don't think I could do that properly right now. I feel like going forward, I'm going to have to take some time off to get in the groove with school. I am pulling from foreplay. I will be back." That was on September 1st, so a couple weeks ago. And then I saw that, I believe, within the last couple days, he posted the Michael Jordan, doctored "I'm back" press release. So Fore Play Tracker, it appears, has got his ducks in an order, took a little bit less than 2-week hiatus, and he's back. So I would like to welcome Fore Play Tracker back to his full-time
Welcome
duties.
back.
It sounds like.
He recommended to me. He DM'd me on Twitter and told me that I need to visit Auschwitz before. That I need to visit Auschwitz.
What?
He said he's Polish, and he said that he went to Auschwitz, and he said it was a great experience. Which it is. I would, I've never been to Auschwitz, never been to Poland. I have been to a concentration camp, but I thought that was
Well,
a little eye
impressive.
opening.
Well, I will say that so I had a couple buddies that were in New York like a month ago visiting, and they were like, we're going to do a full New York like tourism day. And one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to go down to like ground zero of 9/11. Obviously 9/11 was just a few days ago. And I was like, that's a really good recommendation. It's a really awkward thing to tell people that like they did a great job with it because obviously it's such a somber, horrific thing. But if anybody has been down to ground zero and the 9/11 museum and all that, it really is like an incredible, powerful thing to see and experience. So I don't know. I haven't been to Auschwitz, but I would guess it's a similar experience that if they.
I got no plans on going to Poland. That's the different part.
You said those were your buddies. You know these guys pretty well. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're coming to New York. Come do these things.
Yeah,
to DM a guy who you know publicly, which I understand, but a guy who you don't know personally, to be like, hey, I've got this vacation recommendation or a place you should go. Oh, what is it? Auschwitz. I don't know if that's one that I would start with.
Right. Yeah, I didn't respond yet. I'm not sure what I'm going to say, but noted,
why?
FPT.
I would love to hear his. I'd love to hear his.
He said, I can read you the thing.
No,
he said kind of.
Yeah, go
ahead. I won't read it then. Kind of weird to say this, but I highly recommend visiting Auschwitz near Krakow, Poland, at some point in your life.
As if you've never
considering that you're Jewish.
Right, where's that?
I'm Polish, so we travel to Poland a lot, and I went to Auschwitz for the second time a few months ago. My great-grandfather survived the camp, and going there with a family or religious tie will change your life forever.
He's a nice kid. He is.
He means well for sure.
Yes, he does. It's just a bizarre fucking thing to say. He does mean well though, and I've enjoyed all of my encounters with Fore Play Tracker.
Same.
Speaking of the World Trade Center and Ground Zero, we went there. I mean, I went there the day after I got married with Hannah's whole family. They were in town, and it was just. I remember like being down there in the museum, and everyone's just completely silent and somber. And I remember just kind of trying to crack like I was just like, fucking weekend of love, huh? I mean, it's just like you couldn't think of a worse place to go the day after getting married. I just couldn't believe I was there because it is the most somber, devastating place to ever be. Like, they do such a good job of telling you the whole entire story and the story of all the people that died at the World Trade Center. It is honestly a must attend if you are in New York. It is a must attend.
I mean, I've lived in New York for 7 years and I still haven't gone just because I genuinely think like it's just a big undertaking that I should do eventually, but dude, it's not something you're like, I know
you go
I will.
Downstairs and you're like looking at the foundation of the building. It's still there.
I know.
And they've got the beams and they've got a lot of it. It's again, it's a weird thing to recommend, I guess, but it is. They did an amazing.
But then you go to the top of the new World Trade Center and you're like, fucking right, man. They built this thing and the history and just like the technology and how they persevered. And now we're like on top of this new immaculate building. And it really is a great day. I recommend it to anyone that goes to New York. You will leave there shaken up as you should, because it's ground zero. But yeah, no, it definitely wasn't the best place to go celebrate a new marriage. I'll tell you that. It was bizarre.
Trent, you mentioned 7 years in New York. I am sadly not going to make it to 7 years in New York.
Oh,
we finally have a move date. The Rappaports are moving west October 30th.
Wow.
My deadbeat wife finally got a job, so she can. Yeah, so things are happening.
There you go.
Things are happening.
Wow,
yeah,
October 30th.
We're officially moving.
Okay.
Yeah, October 30th. We will be moving to California.
Halloween.
Alex Busch is making a lot of noise about California, I will say.
I love it.
Trying to make moves, Alex Busch?
No, I just told him how much I love it.
Fore Play West, baby. Scottsdale, Los Angeles. I mean, talk about expansion.
Fuck, man.
Wow.
You excited, Dan?
I can't wait, dude. Yesterday, I walked my dog to the dog park, and the entire walk smelled like puke. And I was just like, get me out of this city. I mean, I would be fine if I was moving to Long Island or moving like anywhere out of the city. It's more just the city at this point.
Yeah,
like
I
really don't want to live in the city anymore. And it took me on Friday. We tried to go play golf. Storm got really bad in the afternoon. Drove back, and it took an hour and 47 minutes to get home. I'm just like, get me out of here. What am I doing?
The exclusive ticketing partner of this here Barstool Sports is Game Time. It takes a couple taps, takes like 10 seconds, bang, you're going to get the lowest deal. You're going to go to any show that you want. I know our very own Alex Busch just went to this last weekend, the Jonas Brothers in LA. We got football starting. People are going although the game Monday night, we talk a lot about the show, how it was a little bit disappointing, but then at the end gives you chills. Imagine being there. That crowd near the end zone, when Gibson just took that thing over and went nuts, dropped the ball, Salas getting in there and going crazy. Imagine being there for that game on 9/11. Game time, baby. You got to go to events. You just got to get out. You got to go to fucking events.
Just the experience. I talked to a buddy that went to the game. I know Alex Busch behind the 1s and 2s went to the game, which I'm very happy about because he saw that loss in person. But it wasn't just the game. It was the atmosphere. They handed out these little, I guess they handed out these like light up bracelets, and everyone's like, oh, I'm sure they'll be like red, white and green for the Jets when they score a touchdown. They were flashing red, white, and blue during the national anthem as Aaron Rodgers is running out of the tunnel with the American flag. Like that, it's all part. I was talking to my buddy Andrew. He's like, dude, it was like being at a show and you're like getting the goosebumps and you're just in it. Like there's nothing better than being there. You'll never, ever, ever capture that feeling just watching on TV. I don't care what kind of sound system you have, what kind of TV you have. You got to be in the building.
You can also get on Game Time limited time discounts with exclusive flash deals. The purchase process, 2 taps, 10 seconds, you're good to go. So skip the hassle. Enjoy the moment with Game Time. Concerts, comedy, football, baseball. We got hockey and basketball are coming back soon. All kinds of good stuff at Game Time. So download the Game Time app or go to the website, enter your email, redeem code FORE, F-O-R-E, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Okay, warning. What you're about to hear is a gut-busting tale of the unexpected. This is not for the faint of heart. It's an unfortunate mishap, but if you're up for a good laugh and a very, very gross story, please tune in. And if not, maybe you're eating something, maybe you have a very upset stomach and you do not want to hear what's about to happen, pause, skip, or may God be with you and get through it. Thank you very much. I've got a story I was going to tell on this podcast. I've kind of been debating
Please
if I want
do.
to say it because it's pretty bad. But I left the office yesterday and I felt okay. I ate a bunch of cereal in the morning. I'm talking a bunch of cereal. I mixed my cereal.
Now we're talking.
I mixed my
baby.
cereal. So I had
Well,
Where'd you go?
not that, but the
Frosted
rest of the other
Flakes, Cheerios, and then I'd crush that whole one all together, and then I did it again, and it was just like so. I basically drank like a half a gallon of milk, and then I go to the office. I had Chipotle, and I got Alex Busch Chipotle because I felt bad that the Jets shoved their cocks in him, and it was just one of those days. Sorry,
wow,
man.
what a
It's
nice
so
guy.
fucking. It's
Shoulder blades.
It's just
And
up
yeah,
to the shoulder blades, just out the nose, and it's just their defense is so good. And then I got a little bit of a stomach bug inside the office. I don't know if you noticed that, Trent and Alex. I kept running to the bathroom, and it was just something was going through me.
You said to me, I just did something to that bathroom that I don't think I've ever
said
done
that to
before.
everyone.
Yeah.
In public, I said I've never done that in public ever. I just let it loose, and it was a bad feeling. So now I'm feeling this kind of bubbling, and I know that I have a long ride home. What are you gonna say?
I don't know where this story is going. You have not told me, but we joked in the office. You were like, if I had that feeling on the car ride home, I would be forced to shit myself.
Yep. So here we go. So listen to this. This is bad. So I drank when I'm at the office, I drink so much water. It's just very present, and they have these huge bottles of water at the office, and I'm just drinking water and drinking water. Well, on my exit out of the office, I forgot to go to the bathroom. I forgot to pee. And I'm like, I just wasn't thinking about it. I was on the phone. I'm walking to my car. So I get to my car. I'm in the car. And now I'm in the middle of New York City traffic. And I look at what I know how to get out of the city. So I usually don't type in my home address, but I just did just to see what the ETA was going to be. And it was an hour and 50 minutes. It was 5 o'clock leaving New York City. So now, right when I saw that number, I instantly thought I have to pee. And I'm like about to get into the tunnel. There is no relief from there until essentially Nassau County. Like you're not getting off that expressway at all. You have nowhere to go. You're going 19 miles in an hour and 50 minutes. You're going to be inching your way through this traffic. And now I'm thinking I have to pee. What else happens? The bubbles start to come up now. So now I've got this feeling of I can't even relieve myself with a fart because I'm going to shit myself. It was like a watery paste is what I want to describe to you guys of what was coming out of me at the office.
Guacamole shit kind of thing.
It was just watery. Like a fart is not going to be dry. It's not, there's no chance. There's nothing, there's no air in there. It's just sewage. It's absolute sewage. And this is, maybe we need to put a disclaimer before I start this.
Please.
Just be like, so I'm sitting in this fucking car and now I'm sweating and I'm on the phone with Hannah and I'm screaming at her being like, I'm not going to fucking make it. You know, I have no water bottle. I cleaned out my car because I picked up Hannah and her friends from the airport last week and I cleaned out the car. I got nothing in there. I'm not even a piece of plastic. There's not even a fucking wrapper in there. So now I'm looking around frantically. I thought if I had my golf bag, I would have went down. I just would have pissed down one of the holes of the fucking golf bag. I was thinking of everything. And dude, I'm in the middle of traffic. I can't even get to the side. I'm in the part where I'm at the part where there's not even a side of grass. It's just fucking concrete. There's nowhere to go. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna die because I didn't know if you could get septic or something. I'm legitimately thinking my something's gonna explode in there.
Sepsis, right?
Which part are you the most worried about at this point?
I was most worried about the fact that everything was tight. Because usually if you have some room to fart, sometimes, I don't know what the science is, but you can kind of maneuver the feeling a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Eggs, you're on each cheek. I had nothing, bro. I was a fucking bulldozer just sitting there. I was a ball. And I'm like, it's going to come out, man. It's going to fucking come out. So now I made it about an hour and I'm 28. Ooh. I'm 40 minutes. Cause I'm 40 minutes away from home and I'm starting to think, do I just pull over on the northern state? Cause I thought that if I moved, it was all going to come out of me. It was pain. I'm actually driving, moving my legs like this, doing the pee-pee dance. And I'm screaming and I'm listening. I'm trying to just not pay attention to it, but it's there. And at one point I thought to myself, I'm just going to let out a quick fart. I thought I had this idea the whole time that if I just let a little bit of relief out, it'll just, maybe the pee will just just move around. And brother,
oh boy,
I fucking shit myself, man. I knew it. I fucking knew it when it came out. I knew that I fucking shit. I'm like, that didn't feel good.
How long did you have until you were home? How long were you bathing
22 minutes.
shit for?
So now I'm sitting in this and I knew it was wet and I'm like, that doesn't feel right. You know when a fart doesn't feel right. And I haven't shit myself in years. I'm talking maybe 20 years. I don't know if I've shit myself since I was 9 years old or 8 years old. I really don't think I've shit myself. And I'm like, that feels wrong. I'm sitting in it and I still have to pee. So I couldn't even make it. To home. I stopped at a build and I just went behind. I started peeing behind a fucking. I couldn't make it anymore. And then I let a little bit of a fart out.
This guy's a menace to society.
I let a little bit more of a fart out while I was peeing, and I shit even a little bit more. And it was just. So now I'm standing behind it, and I'm like, this is a fucking nightmare, dude.
It's dude, you're not a homeless guy. Dude, you're a person. You're a person with a job and a car.
The pain was a fucking nightmare. I was nauseous. It was it was going to come out of my mouth. That's how bad it felt. So now I get to my parents' house because they were making me dinner. So luckily my parents' house are 20 minutes closer than my house out here. Sure. So I get to my parents' house and everyone's outside in the backyard. My mom made a nice Italian meal. I run inside and I give my dad a look this isn't good. I looked at him. I go, this isn't good. And I heard him go, oh, Frankie just ran downstairs. He's just I don't know why. I go downstairs. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare in my pants. It just was. It got through to my fucking pants. It was. I didn't take a picture of it. I didn't take a video of it. I didn't I wouldn't have been able to.
You're doing a podcast about it.
I wouldn't have been able to secure the video like Jersey Jerry did.
Did it into your socks?
No. It wasn't that bad.
Okay.
So it was
all right.
It was like a wet circle, but it had made its way through because I think 20 minutes of seeping through. If you would have seen me, it was similar to the blood that came out of Riggs.
Oh, yeah.
We have asshole issues, but it just made its way to the edge. It wasn't. I wasn't sitting in complete shit. It wasn't on my cheeks.
Do you wear briefs or do you
wear
wear
Tommy Johns? I was wearing Tommy Johns.
Okay.
So then I didn't want to
throw those out.
I didn't want to tell my parents. So I went downstairs. I cleaned myself up, took my Tommy Johns off, went commando with my pants, and I ended up just buttoning up my stuff, washed myself off. I go upstairs. I sit down. They have no idea the nightmare that I just went through. It was a fucking war. I was in war for the last hour and a half. I'm sweating. I just shit myself. I sit down. I look at everyone. I take a deep breath. We start to eat. I'm eating meatballs and spaghetti, and we're all having fun. And everyone's talking about people being pregnant, and everyone's having a great time. And I literally just start laughing. And they're like, "What's wrong?" And I go, "I shit myself."
Yeah.
And they go, "What'd you do? What'd you do with the underwear?" And I said, "I just fucking." They saw me walk outside. I went outside and I threw it out in the fucking garbage on the street.
Yeah.
That's how fucking Neanderthal my life has been.
Oh,
in the
That's
last
what you got to
24
do.
hours.
In
I
that
just
scenario,
tossed
you
it
have
out.
to get rid of it. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Telling that story took real courage, Frankie, and I appreciate that out of you.
Well, I had to. I mean, my mom's like, "This is gonna be on the podcast tomorrow." I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? It probably is."
I would say my favorite part of that story, and there's just so many, but when you're behind and you shit yourself again, I think I just know that in your mind somewhere was like, I already did it once, so what's shitting myself again? If I'm gonna do it,
Totally.
I'm gonna get my money's worth today. And
So luckily there was no substance to what was coming out of me. So it was just like little fucking spurts. It was almost like it was hitting with a fucking.
Yeah, but then it leaves residue when it's like that.
Yeah, no, it was bad. It was bad, Dan. Like it was really bad. Like after 20 minutes, I had like a rash. It was horrible. I shit myself. I fucking shit myself. And apologies to all the listeners. It's the first time it's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
I like there was a little bit of a fucking wet spot on the seat. It was bad.
That's trouble.
Okay.
That's trouble.
I
You get some
fucking
carpet
cleaned
cleaner.
it. I cleaned it. 20 minutes of a nightmare.
It is amazing
And
that-
I thought it was bad. My dog shit on the floor yesterday morning. I didn't realize a human Frankie shit behind it.
It's incredible.
I did.
That's just
I did.
Why didn't you get dude wipes from?
Bro, it was just what was I gonna do, man? I planted a nightmare behind that building.
Bro,
You should.
part of that story, those are the actions of a madman. That part of it where like I don't know if there's a bathroom in there.
You should have seen me get out of the car. I pulled up next to the dumpster part. There's a fence, a dumpster. I got up and I went whoop, and I'm like running belly forward to the behind. Not knowing if anyone, dude, there could have been a homeless person back there. There could have been someone on a smoke break.
In
I don't know.
In the Netflix documentary of the recap of this, like if they made this into a documentary, that security cam footage of you getting out of your car and running back there is
definitely.
I know.
Hopefully the DA is nice and lenient.
Fuck.
You're fine.
I'm sweating now just thinking about that.
There's nothing worse, man, when you got to go. I mean, Jurassic Park, when you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah.
I was wearing nice pants too. I don't know if you noticed. Like I was wearing nice, like light colored pants for the first time, like ever, and I ruined them. So it is what it is. You know, it's just one of the situations. I feel better today. I just never had lost control that bad, and I told you guys that's the worst part of the day.
Literally.
I told you guys if this happened to me in the car, there's nothing I can do, and it happened. Crazy that I didn't expect that to happen. It was happening all day at the office.
Wow.
Do you always drive to the office?
No, we go in so from time to time at this point because we're traveling so much. So infrequently is the word I would use during this busy time that I don't love taking the train. I like to listen to like music and I like to just sit. Even if I'm in traffic, it doesn't usually annoy me too much because it's once in a while. And I'm just like, I enjoy
You
the
just
drive
park in
in.
a garage or something for the day?
Huh? Yeah, parking garage. It's like $40. There's one right by the office. It's nice.
Yeah,
It's crazy parking, but yeah, that's just what happened. I don't know what else to tell you guys. It
No,
fucking
that was
sucks.
I enjoyed that immensely.
We got aliens. So the Mexican government revealed today in front of Congress that they have 2 alien beings. That said, the Mexican government just released photos, DNA, and all other details of aliens. In a mine, aliens were found mummified. After all scientific research and analysis, they concluded that these mummies are non-human, not of this planet, and at least 1,000 years old. They were found in Peru in 2017. Recent DNA extraction techniques allowed them to declare that these 2 alien beings are not of this planet. A couple takeaways. First one, it's for the Mexican government. I don't know that any government is particularly reliable. I don't know that we consider our own government overly reliable. I don't know how reliable we consider the Mexican government when it comes to declaring that they have found the first aliens. And then the second thing I would say is that I find it incredibly coincidental that the aliens that they found look exactly like all the aliens from every alien movie in the history of planet Earth. So for me, if they were truly not of this planet, not of any species, I feel like they would look like something that would be incomprehensible to these human brains of ours that have only seen things like that, and that they wouldn't look exactly like fucking ET. But who the hell knows? Mexico claims they found aliens.
We talked about this, Frankie, and I is that like the movie Arrival does a really good job of kind of shifting your perception of what a alien invasion would look like, and they are these like big blobs. The thing had 2 legs, a torso, and arms. Like, are we? It's a pretty unoriginal template.
I believe
it.
It
Had a face with like eyes and shit.
Yes.
Pretty
I
unoriginal
fucking believe
template.
it. Well,
Come on.
No, what do you mean? Come on. This is the problem. Is that no matter how many things we end up finding, right? All the James Webb Telescope, all these NASA findings, we're all just like, yeah, whatever. Like, it doesn't even mean anything. I've just got my work. I got my bills to pay. Like, I don't even care about that shit. They find aliens and everyone's like, oh, it's impossible. They just can't look like that. Like, how much more do you guys want to see? Do you want them to fucking shove their fucking tentacles up your nostrils or something? I mean, we're finding these things.
No.
Listen to why I believe this. Because our historical drawings of aliens probably derive from thousands of years ago when people were drawing them on fucking like pallets and rocks, and
cave
you
walls.
see all these cave walls. You see all these artifacts of these ridiculous looking big head, big eyes, little mouth creatures. Now, I would assume Hollywood and everyone, as we've evolved as humans, has taken those drawings and it's just been in the back of our brains of like, those must be out of Earth type of species. So why would that be unbelievable that they look like the drawings that are in Hollywood? Because they're probably taking the drawings from Hollywood from something that's somewhat historical. No?
To me, I don't know. This feels like the unintended consequence of our government releasing the UFO stuff that they released, where now it's like an arms race of who's got the most alien shit.
When do they benefit from that though?
I thought you were going to say it was an El Chapo thing.
No, I just think, I don't know.
What do they benefit from showing this?
They get a bunch of headlines. Maybe they get more. People are like,
we're talking about the Mexican government,
right?
Like
you maybe get some tourism going to see where they dug these aliens up.
Also, the idea that another species can't look similar to us, I think, is crazy, because species on our own planet like all look pretty similar to us with different variations of it, right? You've got monkeys and gorillas, and even like a dog has eyes and nose and ears. Like they still have organs.
But we're talking about something that's
ribs.
Not from here.
Right, but like if there is another place that life exists, from all we know, they might need the same sort of structure in order to live. Like they are a different species from a different place that life is clearly present if they are real. That I think that it'd be probably believable that they would look somewhat similar to what we look like, because this is what we look like in a place in which life can form. Does that make any sense?
I'm going to need to see Neil
sense.
deGrasse Tyson's take on this whole, or someone's take on this. I want someone I know that speaks English.
He'll say it's like,
look at
it looks like paper mache. Like, well, how come you haven't seen one with your iPhone? I fucking hate when Neil deGrasse Tyson says that. But it's like, we're showing
rational.
you one.
That's rational.
I don't know, man. I just think like we don't look like this because we chose to look like this. We don't have eyes, ears, noses, and torsos and fucking hip bones because we chose it. It's because like the way the atmosphere is and the way that we've evolved, this is like what we look like. So why couldn't that be similar on another fucking planet?
I will say, if
saying it's just humans from another planet, basically.
It's just like that's what the things on those planets end up looking like. I could believe that more than like them looking like a fucking color or something.
If this is what the aliens are like, what they look like, how they're built, they might want to get on some testosterone, because I could beat the fuck out of these aliens.
What if they're so advanced that they're all brain? We're going to end up turning into that. What if they're so advanced that they're all brain? Our generation.
This is where you lose me with the advanced thing. It's like if they were so advanced, would we be able to dig up their bones? And they like wouldn't be. If
they made it here from thousands of light years away, they're incredibly advanced. They moved faster than the speed of light thousands of years ago.
Well, I'm on the side that they've never been here, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just the big brain advanced thing. I don't think they would be that clumsy and that messy.
we're already moving to that. Like we went from building railroads with our hands to now like we sit at a computer and we let robots do it. Like the brain is going to end up getting more evolved than the muscles and the legs and everything else. Like,
Those could just be two idiots from the advanced group, though. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
what if it was like,
I like that.
me getting sent there? They'd be like, that's what a body looks like.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like
they got
like
a little
we're
lost.
pretty advanced, but there could just those
Sent
are
me
just
and
two
Nate Dogg
complete
there. They're gonna be like,
bimbos
holy
from, like,
shit.
the advanced. Yeah,
That's a fair
You know.
point. I just think it is very coincidental that all this alien stuff is going on, and now the Mexican government's like, by the way, look at these little guys.
I'm gonna say I'm not fully convinced that it's fake. I'm really not. I was very intrigued by this whole thing. I just, in my own brain, have convinced myself that I don't think they're just going to look like what we've always claimed they're going to look like. I think Frankie's making an excellent point that like that just might be the civilized style of living organisms that like works. That just might be what it is. But
Right.
like, because in my head I'm like, well, an octopus doesn't look like a human, so why can't they look like an octopus? But be like, well, an octopus isn't walking around fucking in caves and shit, and these guys apparently were. So I can understand that argument. I did see that like part of their whole thing. So part of the reason that they were doing this was some like trial or some case about like scientific research into alien forms and such. So it seems like it would be beneficial to that like case that they're trying to make. And then another key like pillar from their whole thing was that the Mexican government, I believe, was saying from this that they wanted to be credited as the first government to officially like have found aliens. Which
There's a little ego in that.
So there was a little bit.
Well, wouldn't you want to be?
Motive? Yes, if we found them for sure. But I'm saying,
imagine not getting hat tipped for finding the aliens.
That's what I'm saying.
that's
It's like
what
when
we're
I
saying.
want scoop. Like you want the fucking
Yeah.
scoop,
But I'm
and you're gonna
saying
go
you
with
better
it.
fucking tell the people. I want the fucking credit. I found these things.
yeah, because
Listen, I agree. It's definitely fishy. I do. It's like they showed these things in a box and they were like in a coffin. It's like, what are the odds that? you
Yeah,
have
it
them?
also seems like it was too open. Like it was too there. It was too.
But like,
I
let
feel
us.
like it should be in like some sort of chamber. They just like had it in a room.
That is
when
true.
people were,
I saw a
when
lot
people
of
were
people
saying
talking
it
about
was
that.
just like a when people were just saying it was like a COVID unboxing, except they just had aliens inside of there.
Yeah,
I'm ready for a takeover. I'm ready for an alien takeover because I'm sick of talking about it. Like nobody knows. Everybody, either you know everything or you don't know anything. Just take us over so we can at least stop talking about it every 6 months where it's like.
We're talking about it for a reason, though, don't you think? Like, it's happening more and more often because obviously something is seeping into our culture and our world in which, like, it's way more present now than it was.
Well, I do
3
think
years
that
ago.
the alien community has been emboldened, rightfully so, with the UFO stuff and the Mexican government showing these aliens off. So there seems to be what people would call credible, whether or not you trust the government, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But credible sources are coming out and saying UFOs exist and, the Mexican government is saying we found aliens. So that's why because for the longest time, it was just a bunch of people on the internet being like, I saw this. Oh, you saw this too. I was there too. But once you get emboldened by more legitimate sources, there's certainly going to be an upswing of conversation about it.
What will it take for you to believe this? Would it be that the U.S. conducts research on these mummies and they say, yup, they're correct, we can't figure out what this DNA is? Or would you still be skeptical at that point?
I still just need, and again, it's asking a lot from the aliens, but it's also not asking a lot because everyone sucks their dicks about how advanced they are. Just show up and be like, hey, dude, we're the aliens.
Yeah, I need like a little bit of almost Independence Day.
Yes.
Meets like Arrival.
I think that's a crazy ask.
I don't want the attack.
Why?
I prefer not to have the
Because
attack.
we live in like a 90-year period, like our lives.
I would say for me to be convinced, you asked the question. I'm just saying
I'd
for
love
me
to
to be
get to
convinced,
90.
if they showed up in a giant alien spaceship, came out like Trent said, and we're like, hello, we're the aliens, then I'd be like, all right, I believe that. That's pretty legit.
But that's like the end of time. So like, wouldn't you rather be like, they were here, something obviously happened? I don't know. This is how we got the iPhone because they were here 1,000 years ago and they planted some sort of fucking technology that was going to be able to start up in 1980s.
I've said on the show, gun to my head, have they been here or not? I think that they've been here, but I'm still not considering
Not that one.
considering this as like concrete evidence that I'm now 100% swayed. I said if I had to choose one or the other, I don't even know. The shitty part is I don't know what government could claim it that I would believe. Like if our own government claimed it, I don't think I would fucking believe it.
Denmark.
Dude, our own government is essentially claiming that they have these things, and we're like, it's just a guy that
If they
wants to
did
become
fake it,
famous.
it's such a funny thing. If they did fake it, they literally just built with paper mache. They built ET. They said, make us one with ET with a little bit of a smaller head, and they showed it off in a courtroom like, ta-da!
Well,
did you guys see the video from like Croatia or Russia where I think like a year ago? If you type in aliens and you go to the alien forum on Reddit, you'll see one of the videos is from years ago of this fucking alien like looking thing in the snow, and people had seen it. I think it was a year ago or years ago, and they were like, "Oh, it's whatever. This guy probably just made something up." It's an alien that's in the snow that has its arm chopped off, and it's a fucking bizarre video. It's like in Croatia. And if you look at it, it's exactly the same exact thing that they showed today in those encasings. It's bizarre. Go look at it on Reddit. It's nuts. It's like in the top.
I think it was Siberia. I think I found it.
So I'm reading this from the Independent. It says the event today was spearheaded by journalist and UFOologist Jamie Masson, who testified under oath that the mummified specimens are not part of our terrestrial evolution, with almost a third of their DNA remaining unknown. The claims by the self-claimed ufologist have not been proven, and Mr. Masson has previously been associated with claims of discoveries that have later been debunked. Now, that doesn't really change anything for me, just because everybody's going to make claims, I assume, at some point are debunked, but I don't think they're necessarily like faking it per se. I think there's a chance that these are just old mummified like people that's what I would guess. They've been buried
like
in
over
caves.
1,000 years.
Right.
Yeah. That's
look at that thing.
Don't like that thing at all.
Also, I'm further away from. I don't know. I also think some of the UFO stuff where they're claiming that it's been discovered, like. And this is just going to be more conspiracy theory stuff. Like, it could just be all military stuff that some countries do know about and some countries don't know about. Like all the propulsion systems, and maybe it's. I don't know. It just seems like I need a lot to be like, yeah, aliens have definitely been here, and now we're finding them in Mexico, and like I don't want. It's more fun to quickly believe all that stuff, but there's still a part of my brain that's just like, I don't think so. I think we're fucking out here alone.
It's also most likely, like, if aliens are truly visiting us or aware of our existence, then we almost certainly are just one of thousands of planets of species that they know of that they're just monitoring, right? Like, if there's two, then there's billions. And if there
You're
are
just
billions,
waiting to see that big mushroom cloud where it's like, oh, they did it. And now we're just going to the next one. They're just waiting for us to explode
we've
everything.
We've seen it a bunch.
Yep, every civilization that they've found has just boom exploded it. The whole entire place turned red, or maybe a comet hit it. The whole entire planet turned red, and then hundreds of millions of years later, it just did it again. And that's exactly what happened probably to Earth. And we're just like the second coming of whatever was here before us, specifically the dinosaurs. Speaking of the James Webb Telescope, it found a Earth-like planet 120 light years away, which is actually not as far as you would think.
It's not too far.
Found an oceanic planet with organic molecule in the atmosphere that should be able to hold life.
It's like huge, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what we want to see out of the James Webb Telescope. Obviously, the formation of stars is incredible, but the fact that they're zeroing in on these, what are they calling them? Like exoplanets or something like that, where you can see if there is life on there just based off of the molecules or maybe the radiation that's coming off of that planet. That's the type of shit that I like. Because 120 light years is definitely far, but if we can figure out how to go.
Isn't that crazy to think that, dude, if we could build something that could go the speed of light, which up to this point is the fastest we think anything could possibly travel, it would take almost 2 human lifetimes for that thing to get there.
I also think that's a part of the big alien thing, is people want to be alive when it happens. Like, they're like, this has got to be it. I want it to happen during my lifetime. And that's a big motivating factor of why people get so like, this is definitely it. This has got to be it. Because the reality, or there is a reality where we live, we die, we don't see aliens. Maybe the next generation sees it. Fine. But people are very quick to be like, this is it, because they want to be around when it happens.
But you're also living in a time where saying this is it is the most credible that it's ever been in the history of the world. Like,
please credit the Mexican government.
But what I'm saying is, like, we have the technology now that we didn't have for the history of our humanity. So, like, all of these claims are the most credible they could possibly be in our time of living, because we are just as far advanced as we possibly could be. Like, finding that mummy 500 years ago means nothing. Like, they're just like, I don't know what this is. I'm going to chop it up and make it part of my soil. But now it's like, let's test its DNA brain.
There's like some run-of-the-mill report in like 110 years, and they're referencing the aliens that everybody knows are just common now. And they're like, the aliens, first reported by the Mexican government in 2023, they just keep going on.
They just call them aliens with like a little like fucking squiggly over the end.
Jesus. All right. I don't think I really have anything else. I think that's pretty much it.
I got one quote I wanted to read. That was the European Ryder Cup team. Yeah, yes. It is. Love it. The European Ryder Cup team went over to Rome for a practice session. I've texted with a couple guys who said that Ludvig is just incredible. This quote was in a Golf Digest story from Rory McIlroy. He goes, he probably exceeded my expectations. Everyone talks about what a great driver of the golf ball Ludvig is, and he is. The ball striking is incredible, but I was really impressed with his wedge play and how he can control his trajectory with shorter clubs. I was on the bandwagon before. I'm certainly at the front of it now. So wow, this team is starting to scare me a little bit. They're gelling.
Propaganda. That's propaganda.
I think they have some mojo.
Propaganda.
Yeah, they've got the guys that have the hot hand, and they obviously have the young guns that are pretty scary. Ludvig is for sure a scary name because you just don't know much about him. I don't know anything about him. My first reaction to him will be like, if he's just dominating us at the Ryder Cup, that'll be kind of scary.
I'm trying to get him on the show before the Ryder Cup, but it's not working so far, but hopefully.
What are the gambling odds for the Ryder Cup right now?
It's down to like Europe's like plus 120 now, which is crazy.
Why is it changing?
Because they're just playing well.
Oh, it wasn't always. Oh, I see.
No, it was like plus 240 a year
US is still favored.
US is still favored, but by way closer than it was a year ago.
Because of what we did last time.
I'm ready to
probably.
Oh, I'm ready.
Like
I'm ready to hammer USA. USA is going to win this thing. It's going to be unbelievable. I don't care how close those odds get. It's
those tailor-made Ryder Cup drivers that are at the office are absurd.
They are, yeah.
Those are nuts. The comic stuff too is off the charts.
Yeah.
The comic stuff was amazing.
I think that stuff's still available. TailorMadeGolf.com. They have like a whole comic line, which is like boom, pow, crunch. It's like all the comic like hit words are so cool. That I put the driver head cover in play. I mean, I've got
the
wait.
putter cover. It's on the bag. Yep.
Me too. They got the putter cover going. All right. That's it. That's all I got. Big thanks to everybody for listening, per usual. We'll PGA Tour's back this week. Fortinet, Homa, JT. Will be interesting to see how they do with the Ryder Cup coming up. Our guy Kiz, kind of the return he talked about on the show a few weeks ago. So see where his game is at out in Napa. And then next week we'll be getting close. Oh, I've got an issue going on. I'm supposed to be playing on Cape Cod this weekend. Lurch and a bunch of our buddies, we've been doing a trip for like 12, 13 years, something like that. They've been doing it. And we're supposed to do it at Cape Cod this weekend. And there's just a Hurricane Lee is supposed to hit Cape Cod. So it might be a little bit of an issue.
That is an issue.
Yeah, big time issue. Unlucky, unfortunate. So hopefully Hurricane Lee heads out to pasture, heads out to the Atlantic, and doesn't just smoke New England. But if it does, then I might not be going to New England this weekend. So we'll see. But either way, and then we got Greenbrier Barstool Classic on Monday, which is have we been to anywhere yet that was a PGA Tour stop that then became a live stop? I don't know if we've done that yet, but I've never been to Greenbrier. I heard it's fucking awesome, so I'm excited to see that. And then the week after that will be Ryder Cup week, so it's getting here faster than you think. So enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the PGA Tour returning. We'll be back on Tuesday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.